Hi everybody. Today I'll be showing you how to install new filament into your LATHON printer as well as remove old filament. So the first thing you're going to want to do is set the temperature of your hot end to a temperature that will allow your filament to be removed. So as you can see here, right now everything's at 90 degrees C, but we need to remove PLA and we're going to be replacing it with HIPS. So why don't we go in and put it to a temperature that HIPS melts at as well as PLA. So we'll preheat our second extruder. Now you can see that the second extruder is going to 240 degrees C and rapidly rising temperature. While that's working, let's go ahead and look at the extruder itself. This is comprised of a couple different parts. The first being our spring, which is the tension spring. We're going to remove that, pull back the idler bearing, and as you can see here, there is some filament that has been pushed already into the drive gear. So now that our temperature on our hot end has risen above 200 degrees C, it's hot enough to melt our PLA. So what you want to do first, because you're going to drag the PLA out of the Bowden tube, is first actually push the PLA so that you can see it melting some of the filament. What this does is allows the filament to become mushy so you can pull it through the tube. So after you push it through, you see that some filament comes out, you can go ahead and now pull it back and pull it all the way out of the Bowden tube. Once you do that, you reel up your filament and either print a spool clip that is inside the Dropbox folder, or if you can attach the filament to one of the holes that are on top of the spool. Alright, so let's go ahead and now transfer in our HIPS. You want to make sure that the edge of your HIPS doesn't have this kind of bump that has come from the melt zone. So to make sure you can do it comfortably, just want to cut that off. Next, you'll take your HIPS and put it into your Bowden tube. Once it's there, just keep pushing all the way until it gets to the top of the hot end. And in a different color, you'll usually be able to see the contrast. So you may run into a problem where it feels like the filament has actually stopped moving. What's actually happened is that the PTFE tube isn't properly aligned with the melt chamber of the hot end. So what you want to do is hold this straight and then push the filament until you feel it past that kind of bumpy point. You may have to jiggle it a little bit because the PTFE tube isn't quite aligned. Eventually you should get it through and you'll start seeing filament come out. Just keep pushing through your PTFE tube until all the old color has gone, or at least you have some good flow. That means your filament's been loaded. The next step you're going to want to take is set the proper idler tension for your filament. So you're going to close your idler bearing, put your spring back, but we know that PLA actually has a higher tension than HIPS, so you're going to want to loosen your spring until about can't really feel that there's any tension. Then you're going to want to take your HIPS shim that should have been shipped with your LATHON printer, and you're going to put it in between these two spring caps. You're going to go ahead and tighten this until you can feel a snug fit. At this point, give a nice rotation so you know that it has the same distance all around the spring cap. And at this point, you have HIPS with the proper idler, and it's also inside the hot end. You're done.